In a recent study, it was discovered that nearly half of all Americans surveyed admitted to believing in ghosts. The belief in the paranormal extends far and wide around the globe, appearing in some way, shape, or form in a majority of cultures. But why is this belief so pervasive? Perhaps there is credence to the claims of these ghostly believers. Luckily, you don't have to just take their word for it, because today, we're recording and documenting video footage at a higher rate than any other point in human history. Let's dive into some of the most recent and compelling examples of ghost activity from this year. Number 10. Our first spot on the list comes with a bit of a backstory. This clock that appears to be going crazy on the wall inside a hospital, where the videographer works as a nurse. The night this video was taken, a patient had passed away in the ward at 3:11 a.m. Shortly after, at approximately 4 a.m., porters came to transport the body to the morgue, and as soon as they left, this clock began going haywire. A nurse noticed this occurring and began recording, as she had never seen the clock act like this before. One of the spookiest parts is that the hands eventually stopped spazzing out at 4:11 a.m., which is exactly 1 full hour after the patient's time of death. Possible explanations have been given, saying that this clock in particular could simply be a radio-controlled analog clock. This would mean that the unit could correct itself if it ever strays from the proper time, and often they tend to spin themselves around similar to this video in order to return to the most precise and accurate time. While this explanation certainly does seem like a frontrunner, it does seem odd that none of the nurses would have ever noticed this before, or had knowledge of the clock's capability to do this. In the original audio, there are several nurses in the background along with the one filming, and all of them seem to be shocked by what's unfolding before their eyes. Regardless of what you believe, the timing of it all is coincidental and spooky at best. Maybe this patient just wanted to show us that their time was up a bit more literally. Number 9. Our next clip comes from security footage at an old pub in Bromsgrove, UK. The building where this anomaly was captured has a fair bit of history, and was even a hotel prior to being a pub way back when the building was first erected. While the frame rate is a bit choppy due to it being security camera footage, the object on the video was as clear as day, and seems to take a really interesting path. It appears as if it is moving up the stairs, around the bend, and up the next set of stairs, just as anyone would if they were walking that hall themselves. The composition of the object is also very peculiar. Normally orbs that are caught on film are white or semi-transparent, but this one appears to be more of a free spirit, rocking a bright pinkish hue. It leaves behind an ethereal-looking trail that stands out behind the object as it waves its way up the stairway. While the clip is pretty short, the clarity of the anomaly is nothing to scoff at. This one is really interesting in my opinion, and I have no theories as to what it could possibly be at this point in time. And let me know if you have any explanations or ideas down in the comments below. Number 8. As long as we are looking into security camera footage, let's take a look at this clip from a Costco parking lot down in Mexico. While the setting is certainly not what you would expect when you hear about possible haunted locations, the footage does appear to stand up to criticism. On the left side of the screen, near the hedges, you can see an incredibly human-looking figure that appears to be casually walking alongside the dimly lit curb. The object of the video appears to be translucent, and disappears into thin air near the middle left of the screen when they're almost out of frame. Even though we touched on the setting being rather strange, Mexico is believed by many to be a hotspot for paranormal activity, due to its long and intense history of violence dating all the way back to European inquisitions and explorers hundreds of years ago. Who knows what preceded this simple parking lot before, and what sort of bloodshed the same tract of land may have seen. As for the video itself, it's clear that something is there. Some have speculated it could be a simple error in the compression of the video. Others say that this is a lost soul. Personally, I subscribe to the theory that this ethereal wanderer shambled to Costco in search of their final rotisserie chicken. We may never know the truth. Number 7. With so many security cameras operating in both commercial spaces and residential homes, it's not surprising that it has quickly become the top medium for unexplained and potentially ghostly phenomena. Our next clip is short but sweet, as a man captures an unexplained shadow coming from his kitchen. According to the uploader, absolutely no one was in the area, and all of the window shutters were completely closed, eliminating the possibility that it was a shadow from outside. As for the composition of the shadow itself, it appears quite large and seemingly moves quite quickly. This is definitely not what I would want to see when watching back my security footage. Some have speculated that this is simply the result of a bug that crossed the path of a light very closely, causing the huge shadow to stream across the floor. However, despite the proposed explanation, the owner is adamant that this is not the correct theory, and is convinced that there's something more sinister casting the large mass of darkness. We can't say for sure, but I think I'll accept the bug theory just for my own peace of mind. Let me know your thoughts or if you have alternate explanations. Number 6. We have already witnessed an orb of some form at number 9 in our countdown, but this next clip appears to be stepping it up a notch. This home footage was recorded only a week ago as of the upload date of this video, and displays an orb that was significant enough to trigger this camera's motion detection system. While we're still seeing very early speculation, many are claiming that this is some of the more compelling and substantial footage that they've seen regarding ghosts and specifically orbs. For added context, the uploader mentions that no windows are open and their HVAC system is off due to the pleasant weather during this time of year. That would certainly make the object's path very strange, as it appears to make a U-turn and head directly up near the end of its time on the frame. Despite this, skeptics are inclined to believe it's simply a speck of dust that took an abnormal path. The leading explanation is that the dust is attracted to the heat given off by the infrared camera, justifying its strange U-turn-like movement. I'm not sure what I personally believe on this one, but if anything, it's definitely an interesting video. It really gets you thinking. Number 5. We have reached the halfway point on our list, and we have a video that stands out a bit from everything else we've seen so far. This video takes place at a tattoo studio that claims a poltergeist is frequently knocking objects off of their shelves and blowing out their candles. As we're about to see, this particular poltergeist also seems to have a specific distaste for men. Just as the artist is about to begin working on a side piece for a customer, he was met with inexplicable bonks to the cranium courtesy of their local spookster. The objects behind him are aggressively shoved directly onto him, interrupting the session and causing a large amount of confusion. Apparently, other instances of strange activity had plagued the location for many years, along with everything mentioned previously. This shop's doorbell tends to ring quite often without anyone coming in or being at the front door. I've never known a ghost to go ding-dong ditching before, but it seems pretty efficient since you don't even have to run afterwards. Number 4. At number 4 we have a bit of a strange one. This short clip shows the onboard screen of a Tesla that's either malfunctioning or functioning a little too well. The screen shows a generated imagery of objects or obstacles in front of the vehicle, in an attempt to increase the safety of both those inside and outside of the car. When this man pulled into his driveway, his vehicle alerted him that he was about to hit someone that clearly wasn't there at all. While the most probable answer is obviously that the system malfunctioned and detected something that wasn't there, some are theorizing that the system somehow managed to actually detect a ghost that was waiting in their driveway for them to return home. Personally, I don't buy it, but the story is equally amusing and terrifying. The prospect of having a ghost detection upgrade on your vehicle is one of the least practical things that I would absolutely purchase. I'm looking forward to when this strange concept is inevitably made into a movie in the next few years. Number 3. Next up, we have a shadowy figure that's a bit more difficult to disprove and has a larger air of mystery surrounding it than those higher up on the list. Uploaded back in February when it was recorded, no one has been able to come up with a solid explanation for this short clip, showing a shadow scurrying across the frame. The poster notes that this motion camera never activates unless the dog walks in front of it, and at the time of this recording, the dog was inside a bedroom with the door locked, leaving little explanation for what this could possibly be. What's interesting about this clip is that you can see the figure directly blocking the light source, yet nothing physical appears in frame. It's simply a strange, lone shadow. When speculated that it could possibly be a car's headlights from outside a window, it was noted that this particular room doesn't have a window to allow light in from that vantage point, and also the owner lives on a private drive. When you add everything up, this becomes a pretty compelling and very spooky video to randomly see on your motion camera when no one is around. I hope they have a spare bedroom, because it looks like they have a guest. Number 2. At the penultimate spot on our list, we've got another strange video that doesn't show your average run-of-the-mill ghost recording. The original videographer, who is resting on the couch in the footage, has several balloons in the room that are touching the ceiling. However, it appears that a certain ghost was feeling quite playful, because only one of the balloons begins circling the room, and the man's sleeping body, over and over again before ultimately returning to the same spot that it started in. One of the more amusing aspects of this clip is the dog who remains awake for a large duration of the strange activity, and watches the balloon intently as it circles around by itself. And perhaps the dog has telekinetic powers or just enjoys balloons. Or perhaps he's just as confused as us when he watches the helium-filled party favor run laps around the room, like it's training for a track meet. This clip is one of the most out there ones that I've seen in the ghost category, but I love quirky twists to videos like this. I have absolutely no idea what could possibly cause a balloon to swirl around a room by itself like that, especially when the other balloons appear completely unaffected and stay in their places. Whether you are a believer or a skeptic, we can at least all agree that the scariest thing about this video is the fact that it's a vertical phone recording of a horizontal phone. Number 1. We have finally reached the top spot on our list, and while we've had some strange and abnormal settings up to this point, I would say this area is one of the creepier and more expected places to see paranormal activity. The uploader and his family were walking down an abandoned road in rural Japan, because apparently that's their idea of a fun Friday night. Regardless of their strange family outing, what they saw stopped them dead in their tracks. Amid an entire field of bamboo stalks, one in particular was moving completely on its own. No camera tricks, no outside manipulation, just pure, unadulterated weirdness. They began to record their incredibly strange experience, and they managed to capture an awesome video as a result. Their friend, who was a local of the area, said that he had never seen anything like it before. While I'm not completely discrediting that this could be paranormal in nature, the leading theory on this one is that it was caused by a very strange phenomenon known as oscillation frequencies of tapered plant stems. I'm not even going to pretend to know exactly what that means, but there are several accredited research papers written on the subject, and the phrase essentially describes this exact phenomenon. If you look up a video of oscillation frequencies of tapered plant stems, you will see similar plants doing similarly creepy things, such as swaying back and forth without outside influence. I guess you learn something new every day. Do you believe in ghosts? Have you ever had what you would consider to be a paranormal experience? I'm genuinely curious and would love to hear about it in the comments. While currently our understanding of the paranormal is limited in nature, surely our understanding will only develop as time progresses. Until that day, keep your camera at the ready and maybe you could record the next compelling ghost video.